How I designed these animated playing cards without any generative AI. Starting with my playing card template file, I gave the cards a parchment colored background and then placed these frames on every single card. Command Option Shift V will let you paste in place on every single artboard. Then I designed custom pips using a mirror repeat. I knew I wanted the top left corner indices to have a higher level of ornamentation, much like medieval initials, so I picked a decorative font and embellished each character with the suit from its respective card. I then created the first animated element of the deck, a sun that rotates, using Transform Each to apply rotations in bulk, taking a second to test out that animation and make sure it looks good. Next, I positioned the other corner indices. I knew that in the margins of these cards, I wanted a starry field that also animated when the cards were flipped through, but I didn't end up loving this first execution. To me, it missed the medieval mark and looks more like sparkles than a starry night sky. My second attempt involved creating a field of stars that would move behind the other design elements. I did this by using the blend tool to create a sequence of rectangles that would serve as clipping masks, each offering a slightly different view of the same night sky. I felt like I had struck gold when I saw how cool this looked. I knew I wanted each of the court card illustrations to feature celestial hands emerging from clouds, so I used Transform Each's random option to create the foundational cloud cluster shapes from ellipses. Then with Pucker and Bloat, I turned those ellipses into puffy cloud shapes and refined the line shading from there. Next came illustrating the hands themselves, first the jacks and then the queens. Each of these court card illustrations are based off of that card's corresponding astrological sign, and more specifically the medieval labor associated with that sign. So when you arrange these court cards in astrological sign order, they become like a medieval calendar. At this point in the project, I ordered my first set of samples to make sure that the colors were printing well and that the animated elements still looked good in person. This is also where I discovered that I didn't really love this smaller lower right corner index, and I decided to make it bigger. I finished the court cards by illustrating the kings, and then to take what I learned from that first set of samples, I made some color tweaks and I added that larger index to the lower right corner so that it would match its opposite. With that larger index, there was an opportunity to balance the card with one more animated element, a moon phase. Here I am testing that animation and choosing a placement. Finally, it was time to design the card backs. I wanted these to read like a medieval carpet page, so I started with a thick decorative border, incorporating some stars and other astrological symbols from the deck art. In the center, I placed more clouds and a medieval-inspired sun, much like the ones on the card faces. I ultimately made two versions of the card backs, one with the deck title and one without, and I ended up liking the latter more. At this point, my second set of samples came in, reflecting the changes that I'd made to the card faces, as well as those completed king illustrations. Of course, I had to test out the animated moon phase, and it's looking really excellent. The final step was designing the tuck box, which incorporated art from the card faces, as well as the back design and some textual elements to properly communicate the box's contents. And here is that final mock-up. Now is your last chance to pre-order the Caelestes playing cards. They are finally wrapping up in production and are set to start shipping out in the next few weeks.